Welcome to the annual Private Equity and Venture Capital Compensation Report Summary. I'm David Kohanek, publisher of Job Search Digest and PrivateEquityCompensation.com. In our many years of publishing the annual Private Equity and VC Comp Report, both before and after the peak, we've seen significant changes in how compensation works. We feel a responsibility to present a compensation benchmark that's comprehensive, reliable, and affordable. Annually, the PrivateEquityCompensation.com team conducts a comprehensive survey to reveal insights into the changing landscape of private equity compensation. The data is collected in Q4 of each year to get the best picture of how the year will wrap up. With more than 40 detailed charts and graphs, we've prepared the report to help you understand the industry pay benchmarks and the changes that have happened in private equity and VC comp practices. The report addresses core compensation topics much more than just cash compensation. Some of the biggest questions answered include the compensation medians, averages, and ranges, base versus bonus payouts, which titles earn the most and how they earn, who shares in the carried interest and at what level, how fund size and performance affect pay, and the impact of work culture, things like vacation and hours worked, job satisfaction, and much more. Again this year, respondents strongly represent the mid-career stage, as 64% have between 6 and 15 years of work experience. On average, respondents are close to evenly split, above and below the 10-year mark. But when it comes to private equity and VC experience, that splits at about the 5-year mark. It's important to remember the typical employee at a private equity or venture capital firm has not been around doing this for very long. So it really represents an opportunity for those looking to break into the industry. Different from what we've seen in the past, the VC firms have really taken the lead charge in the average increase of base compensation. Here you can see about a quarter of our respondents came from firms that they said were dedicated to venture capital. 21% said they do some form of both VC and private equity, and 56% said they're a pure play private equity firm. Now for those venture capitalists that increased the base pay, the downside was that their average bonus also decreased. And that's not totally unexpected, as last year we reported that the VC firms were paying the biggest bonuses of all the firm types. We also asked people what was the size of their most recently raised fund, and you can see that about a quarter, their most recently raised fund was less than 100 million. Then 59% was 100 million to a billion, and 17% said their most recently raised fund was over $1 billion. We found employees representing funds of larger than $1 billion earn 34% more in total cash compensation than their counterparts who are working in smaller funds. Similar to last year, 69% of the respondents are part of groups with less than 10 team members, and 89% have less than 25 team members. When looking at the firm size, 44% reported being part of a firm with less than 10 team members, and 67% less than 25. Now, in terms of how the cash compensation changed, again this year, many were expecting double-digit increases over last year. Last year, 45% of respondents expected double-digit increases. This year, that number dropped only slightly to 43%. Despite continued pressure on earnings achieved in the financial sector, especially with all the Occupy Wall Street activity, there's still plenty of earning opportunity for those in VC and private equity. It's about being with the right firm in the right market. On average, this year's bonus structure is reported at 45% of the total cash comp, which is up from 36% last year. For those making more than $300,000, the bonus accounts for more than half of that total cash comp, which is in line with what we found last year as well for this range. Now, how did the funds perform in 2011? Last year in 2010, 85% of those reporting said their fund's performance was in the black. This year, expectations are a bit tempered, as 73% are projecting a positive year. Last year, only 4% reported negative returns for their fund, and that number more than doubled this year to 9%. Now, we don't have time to cover everything in the report, but I wanted to just highlight some of the things that we do cover, including guaranteed bonus percentages. This year we saw that 29% had some level of bonus guarantee, although the levels were all across the board, from 5% to 100% guarantee. And of those who did receive bonuses, only 11% were required to invest some of that money back into the fund. We also break out bonus level by the fund performance. So typically you would expect that as fund performance increases, bonus level moves hand in hand, and year after year we find that's not the case. We also take a look at compensation by firm size. We list all the titles, break it out by assets under management, and then break out base versus bonus. We also provide a summary of compensation by firm size in terms of number of employees as well, again, base and bonus. We also look at carried interest. We look at the size of the carried interest pool for the fund, as well as individual portions of the carried interest pool, and break those out in detail. And perhaps the greatest indicator of whether or not someone receives carry is the length of work experience, as more work experience usually translates into a higher level position as well. 1 in 2 professionals with at least 6 years of work experience have some level of carry as part of their compensation package this year. We look at carry allocations as well by group. So we have the executive group, the mid-level group, and the lower level group. And for each one of those, we identify which titles are included and then the level at which they are participating in the carry pool. So that's broken out in detail as well. Unfortunately, we don't have time on this video to go through the entire private equity compensation report. As you can see here, there's 46 different charts and graphs that detail out our findings. The report has truly become the most comprehensive benchmark in the industry. If you're interested in the full report, you can purchase it and download it instantly at privateequitycompensation.com. Thank you and good luck with your efforts, whether you're negotiating your own comp package or setting benchmarks for your firm's compensation policies.